and welcome to the latest opinion piece of Beyond the Brief. Today, we're diving into a topic at the forefront of enterprise strategy, the cloud of the coming age. Why strategy in 2026 is about intent, not infrastructure. Over the last 2 decades, cloud computing has reshaped how enterprises build, scale, and operate digital systems. What began as an alternative to owning infrastructure has evolved into the foundation for AI-driven platforms, automation, and globally distributed digital experiences. To explore this topic, we're joined by Hussain Ahmad Khan, Senior Director Engineering Global SME at Confiz, who will share his insights on how the cloud is evolving from a simple technology service into a strategic platform that delivers intelligence, governance, and measurable outcomes. With that perspective in mind, let's take a closer look at where enterprises stand today and the challenges they face in harnessing the full potential of the cloud. By 2026, most enterprises have migrated to the cloud, yet many technology leaders find themselves navigating more complexity than clarity. The promise of agility often clashes with architectural challenges, governance demands, and operational intricacies, leaving organizations wondering how to turn cloud capabilities into real strategic advantage. So what does the cloud's evolution tell us about the shift from simply enabling infrastructure to driving strategic intelligence and business outcomes?
Thank you, Mana, first of all, for hosting me. Great question. So if you look back, the cloud story isn't about adoption. It's really about how responsibility shifted from over time. Cloud early evolution is birth acknowledging, I would say, not as a history of adoption, but as a progression of responsibility. The first shift removed infrastructure as a limiting factor. On-demand compute and storage eliminated long provisioning cycles and reduced dependence on owned data centers, I would say, allowing scale and experimentation without physical constraints. As cloud usage expanded between 2008 and roughly 2014, access alone was no longer sufficient. Speed became a differentiator. Platforms evolved to abstract operational complexity, enabling organizations to deliver applications without managing underlying environments and redirecting efforts from operating infrastructure rather than to executing business functionality. So beyond 2013 and between 2018, standardized packaging, automated pipelines, delivery orchestration, and serverless execution gained consistent enterprise adoption. Cloud-native application and practices stopped being positioned as an advanced or optional and became the default operating model for modern systems. Infrastructure and delivery ceased to be the primary barrier to scale, I would say. This progression matters because it redrew the line of accountability. Once platforms could reliably manage infrastructure, deliver, and operate, they were positioned to take on intelligence, governance, and coordination within the operating layer itself. That shift, more than adoption, I would say, defines the cloud current strategic trajectory.
Thank you, Hussain. As cloud platforms matured, they started moving beyond just hosting and running applications. How did this evolution give rise to the intelligent and serverless cloud, and what does that mean for enterprise strategy today?
Yes, Manam. So interesting point. The cloud had started doing more than just running applications. It was starting to embed intelligence right into how it worked. Now, by 2018, cloud platforms had extended beyond infrastructure execution to include intelligence as a native capability, actually. Services such as SageMaker, Vertex AI, and Azure ML made AI tooling available without dedicated research environments. But in parallel, serverless computing reached maturity while edge computing moved intelligence closer to the user. The cloud's role expanded accordingly. It continued to host applications, but it also began supporting decision-making through embedded analytics, automation, and AI-driven services. The shift behind the scenes were significant, though not obvious, and these capabilities took shape. Development team increasingly pushed for simpler operating models and fewer operational dependencies. Expanding data volumes, wider access to AI, and expectations for globally consistent digital experiences reinforce this pressure. In response, cloud platforms absorbed more intelligence and operational responsibility. More important, this shift began to influence enterprise cloud strategy as execution environments evolved beyond passing runtimes and reduced the need for constant mutual oversight.
That's fascinating. So, how does this play out in practice with AI as a service, intelligence you can plug in?
Over the last few years, AI has shifted from niche experimentation to a broadly accessible cloud-delivered capability. Major cloud providers now offer comprehensive AI ecosystems that span pre-trained models, managed training pipelines, and vector-enabled search, making advanced intelligence available without bespoke infrastructure. This is the practical expression of AI as a service. Instead of assembling individual components, team consume intelligence as a managed capability, just like any other service, integrated directly into applications and workflows. Across platforms, this approach is visible in how AI services are exposed. And the way this intelligence is packaged really differs depending upon the cloud provider, with each platform exposing AI in their own unique way to meet diverse enterprise needs.
That's interesting. Let's start with AWS. How does Amazon Web Services approach AI for enterprises?
AWS emphasizes breadth in ecosystem integration, offering a wide range of AI services that they can be composed across industries and workloads. For example, Amazon Bedrock, it provides access to foundational models including Anthropic Claude, Amazon Titan, MetaLlama, and Stability AI through a single API. SageMaker supports end-to-end model training, tuning, development, and monitoring. Rekognition delivers image and video intelligence. Poly provides neural text-to-speech. Comprehend supports sentiment analysis, classification, and entity direction, similar to Lex and Kendra, which offers enterprise search with AI-driven relevance ranking. Of course, AWS is just one example of how cloud providers package AI. Each platform has its own approach, emphasizing different strengths and integrations for enterprise needs and their own business objectives.
Got it. How does Microsoft Azure approach AI, and what makes it different from AWS?
So Microsoft positions AI as an extension of its current enterprise productivity, security, and application platform, deeply integrated into their existing operating models and software suites. Apart from that, Open AI service provides hosted access to GPT and other GPT versions embedded APIs. Azure AI services deliver vision, speech, language, and decision APIs. Azure ML supports the full machine learning lifecycles. Cognitive search enables AI-powered enterprise searches, and custom vision simplifies training and deployment of vision models.
That's a comprehensive view of Azure. It's interesting to see how deeply integrated AI can become within enterprise productivity and security. I'm curious, how does Google Cloud approach AI differently, especially when it comes to combining data, models, and pipeline for enterprise use?
So GCP is about data and scale. So if I summarize this, it focuses on unifying data models and pipelines, positioning AI as a natural extension of analytics and data engineering workflows, in which GCP is already ahead. Speech Studio supports speech to text, custom voice, and translation. Vertex AI provides a unified platform for training pipelines and deployments. Gemini API exposes multi-model foundational models across text, code, and image. Vision AI delivers optical intelligence, speech to text, and text to speech supports advanced speech use cases. Natural language AI enables entity extraction, sentiment analysis, and classification. And recommendation AI provides a pre-trained recommendation engine for retail scenarios. What all these platforms show is a common theme. The cloud isn't just providing tools anymore, it is delivering intelligence that's ready to use actually, so teams can focus on delivering real impact rather than building everything from scratch.
Thank you, Hussain, for breaking down the GCP approach's AI. With all these AI capabilities now embedded in cloud platforms, how has the cloud's role shifted for enterprises? And what does that mean for how teams actually apply intelligence in their day-to-day work?
So the way I see it, the cloud's evolving role can be summed up with a single message. Use intelligence we have already built so that you can focus on the impact. Cloud platforms increasingly deliver intelligence as a built-in capability rather than something teams assemble themselves. So as a result, AI capabilities can be applied without carrying the full overhead of model development operations. Foundational model pre-trained services for vision, speech, and language, managed training and fine-tuning, vector search, and fully managed inference are now standard part of cloud environments, be it any. shifting efforts from building intelligence to applying it.
Thank you, Hussain. It's clear that the cloud is doing much of the heavy lifting today. Looking ahead, how is its role evolving in the next phase? I've been hearing a lot about this idea that the cloud is becoming composable and cognitive. Can you unpack what that means?
So the cloud is entering its most transformative phase today. From 2025 onwards, it is becoming composable, intelligent, and increasingly capable of acting on intent rather than explicit instructions. That was once configured in details is now engaged as a system designed to collaborate in execution actually.
As the cloud becomes more intelligent and composable, I imagine that managing risk, compliance, and security must also evolve. How are enterprises handling these critical responsibilities in this new cloud era?
Good point, Manav. So monitoring, governance, and security are no longer treated as a reactive functions. Cloud platforms are increasingly embedding compliance, enforcement, anomaly detection, threat analysis, and remediation directly into operating layer, reducing reliance on manual oversight actually.
That makes sense. Can you give us a concrete example of how cloud governance is becoming executable in practice? How these capabilities actually work in large-scale environments?
So in large security environments, governance challenges rarely stem from lack of alerts or data. There is plenty of that. They emerge when signal volume grows faster than the ability to correlate, prioritize, and act without expanding operational teams. So a good example can be Microsoft Sentinel, how cloud-native governance evolved to address this problem. So it was introduced in early 2019. It was designed as a cloud-native SIEM capable of ingesting and analyzing large security data volumes without traditional SIEM infrastructure, reaching general availability later that year, I believe. Early intelligence focused on cloud-scale analytics and machine learning to reduce alert noise and accelerate investigation. So in 2021, Microsoft rebranded it to Microsoft Sentinel, which reflected closer alignment with the Microsoft security portfolio and an expanded platform posture, supporting Microsoft and third-party data sources with SOAR capabilities actually. Before generative AI, Sentinel's progress centered on improving detection and incident quality. Fusion correlated weak or fragmented alerts into higher confidence multi-stage attack incidents rather than relying on statistical rules. UEBA and anomaly detection modeled baseline behavior of users and hosts, surfacing deviations that indicated compromise or misuse. So together, these capabilities shifted Sentinel's value from producing large volume of alerts to delivering prioritized and actionable incidents. 2023 onward, intelligence extended into analyst workflows through Microsoft Security Copilot. Sentinel context supported investigation and threat hunting, while Copilot assisted with KQL query generation and analysis. Copilot generated incident summaries, reduced time spent, reconstructed timelines, and accelerated triage, I would say. Continued updates in the unified Defender portal introduced more agent-like enrichment, including AI-powered incident experiences and entity analyzers integrations embedded into automation paths. Taken together, this progress reflects a broader change in cloud governance. Detection, investigation, and response are becoming predictive, automated, and increasingly self-healing, strengthening security and compliance without turning governance into an operational bottleneck.
So we've talked about intelligence and governance in the cloud, but what about broader business functionality? How are cloud platforms delivering capabilities that teams can actually plug into their workflows?
Capability as a service changes how cloud platforms deliver value. Cloud providers no longer stop exposing tools, they deliver complete business capabilities that teams integrate directly into applications. Capabilities such as fraud detection, personalization, forecasting, identity verification, document intelligence, and supply chain optimization now arrive as a modular unit of intelligence. These are not standalone applications. They function as composable capabilities that teams apply, combine, and govern at the platform level. This model redirects effort. Teams spend less time building and managing capabilities and more time applying intelligence to business problems that already exist.
Thank you for sharing that. We've seen how cloud platforms now provide intelligence and modular capabilities. But what happens when organizations want the cloud to act on their goals directly, almost like delivering outcomes on their behalf?
Exactly, Mahanam. So, intent as a service pushes this model further, though down the road, maybe a couple of years. Organizations no longer define every service and dependency upfront, they state outcomes. The cloud assembles the architecture, workflows, data flows, and AI required to execute against that intent. For example, launching a global commerce platform, optimizing logistics with cost constraints, or monitoring regional financial anomalies. They become an exercise in direction rather than orchestration. Execution follows intent, not configurations. Here, the cloud assumes responsibility for coordination and execution. Organizations retain control by setting objectives and constraints, not by managing every component of it.
That sounds great. Thank you, Hussain. This has been an incredible walkthrough of how cloud is evolving. To wrap up, how should enterprises think about the cloud in 2026 and beyond? And what should they focus on to turn these capabilities into real strategic advantage?
So to conclude, cloud computing has moved beyond its origin as an infrastructure alternative into a platform that shapes how systems operate and decisions are executed. Each phase of its evolution removed constraints and embedded new capabilities, resulting in a model where cloud does more than hosting workloads. It increasingly participates in execution. So today, cloud is defined by how effectively it brings intelligence, governance, and coordination together. As platforms become more composable and intent-driven, architecture and operating models become strategic choices rather than technical defaults. So the advantage no longer lies in adoption, but how disciplined you are in using those.
Thank you, Hussain, for sharing your expertise and insights on how the cloud is evolving and how enterprises can leverage intelligence, governance, and composable capabilities to drive real strategic impact. For our viewers at Confiz, we help enterprises design and operationalize this shift by enabling secure, governed, and intelligent cloud operating models that execute reliably at scale. As cloud moves beyond infrastructure into a system for execution, disciplined architecture and operating choices determine who realizes its full advantage. That wraps up this session of Beyond the Brief. Goodbye and thank you for joining us.